Rusty Starlands. Book 1. The Tree and the Kindling. Prologue. Under the Canopy. Section 4. The Spinal Matrix. Unlike the wild complexity of the tree's exterior, its interior was strikingly restrained. Subtle, semi-regular patterns surfaced along the floors and walls. Between those textures glowed a soft orange-red light, like the translucent walls of enormous chlorophyll cells. With the low hum rising from deep within the trunk, the surfaces seemed to expand and contract in slow, measured breaths. Their boots struck the ground with dull echoes. Each step sent vibrations through the structure, faint tremors traveling up their legs and into their bodies, as if the colossal organism was silently observing its intruders. Tao scanned his surroundings. This was not a mechanical structure in any conventional sense, but a material suspended in ambiguity somewhere between organic and inorganic, according to the data he had studied. The tree's foundational substance was known as golden bow, a supermaterial modeled on cellular biology, built through genetic programming that directed carbon and calcium atoms into precise, oriented growth. Golden bow was considered one of the most powerful materials humanity had ever created. Its hardness rivaled diamond. Its density approached that of coral. Each strand of golden bow was a self-contained structure, nearly impossible to machine or reshape. Its form could only be determined by genetic instructions set in advance. The process resembled cultivation far more than construction, raising a tree, not assembling a machine. A sky-crowned tree began as a single golden bough sapling, 200 meters in length. With sufficient nutrients, it could rise to 3,000 meters within a century, becoming the most towering artificial structure on Mars.
The temperature is 5 degrees higher than expected,
Lynn said, glancing down at the environmental monitor on her wrist, a slight crease forming between her brows. Tao looked down. She was right. The interior was warmer than the figures in his data suggested. Though the tree's material was extraordinarily strong, it provided little insulation and offered poor radiation shielding. What might have been an ideal ecological habitat had ultimately proven unsuitable for permanent settlement. Now the interior served only as a temporary refuge, majestic, cold, and fundamentally inhospitable to daily human life. Tao said nothing and continued forward. Lynn followed close behind. They moved through the tree's interior for nearly 10 minutes before the space opened abruptly. Light filtered down through a semi-translucent dome above, casting layered shadows across the floor. They had reached the true heart of the tree. A52 Spinal Matrix. Here, the expanding vascular networks of the sky-crowned tree reached something close to divine excess. Within a cylindrical shaft more than 100 meters high, countless hexagonal lattices spiraled upward toward the ceiling. At each junction were embedded fist-sized luminous spheres. The dim blue orbs pulsed at steady intervals of 0.7 seconds. Like a school of anglerfish lulled into collective hypnosis, drifting calmly toward a whirlpool in the abyss. This was the core of the sky-crowned tree, the spinal matrix. Lynn's bionic fingertips brushed the surface of the lattice. The instant she touched one of the spheres, ripples surged across the crystalline wall. Hundreds of thousands of tree fibers contracted and expanded in response, the shock racing along the central axis toward the canopy thousands of meters above. A moment later, fine crystalline sounds cascaded from overhead as duskly fragments fell, as if a god had overturned a handful of polished stones from the clouds. Amid this vast rhythm, a sharp red warning flared across Tao's display. He stopped short, his gaze locking onto a corner of the third lattice tier. One luminous sphere there was completely smothered, Beneath a grey film woven from fungal filaments, no blue light escaped. It looked disturbingly like an inflamed wound sealed beneath a scab. Sensor readings spiked. The neutron flux emitted by the filaments measured more than 3 times the external baseline.
The reflective layer has been covered by something,
Tao said quietly, almost to himself.
It doesn't match natural deposition, and it doesn't resemble residue from any maintenance procedure.
He lifted a molecular sampling stylus and gently teased at the grey-white growth. His movements were slower than usual by half a beat. There was no resistance. The filaments peeled away with unsettling ease, lighter than expected, like a shadow that should never have existed in the first place. The crystalline lattice beneath re-emerged, cold blue light flowing once more along its hexagonal edges. A chill crawled up the back of his neck. He fed the sample into a portable analyzer. During the few seconds it took to process, Tao did not look away from the sphere. The patterns of light no longer registered as data or structure, but as something eerily familiar. He was certain he had seen this arrangement before. He simply could not remember where or when. A warning tone chimed. The art display unfolded. Hexagonal points of light interlocked, rapidly sketching out a set of correlation curves. Tao's eyes moved to read the parameters by instinct, then stopped at once. The slope of the primary peak caused a barely perceptible hitch in his breathing. He had seen this gradient before. Not in a tree, not on Mars, but in a report that had been sealed and rejected over and over again. The Moon. The Taicho facility. The final complete record before loss of control. His fingers curled unconsciously.
That's not possible.
The words were barely audible, like a candle just extinguished. He pulled up a comparison layer. His movements quickened, edged with urgency. Data stacked, compressed, recalculated. The curve did not vanish. Instead, it stood out even more sharply in the new coordinate frame, like a wound deliberately left unhealed. At that exact moment, a sudden heat flared beneath his wristwatch. Tao froze, then looked down by reflex. The tungsten-cobalt watch still rested quietly against his wristbone. He couldn't see it through the suit, but the heat was unmistakable metal slowly warming, searing through skin and into his veins. A hallucination. He told himself that immediately. But another sensation rose to the surface: the abnormal heat inside the control room on the day of the lunar accident. The sweat beading at his brother's temples as he dismantled the device. And that eerie illusion, seconds before the explosion, when every instrument had gone silent at once. It was too similar. Sickeningly so.
That watch officer, the one who first detected the anomaly.
Tao said suddenly, his voice pitched strangely, as if something were forcing it out of his chest.
Where is he now?
He didn't look at Lynn. His eyes remained locked on the data.
I need to see him.
His speech began to unravel.
Now. Immediately.
The air seemed to thicken, turning viscous. Tao's breathing grew shallow. Each inhale filtered, labored. He realized he could no longer smell the familiar metallic tang. In its place crept a cloying, unsettling sweetness. The watch felt hotter. Anger, pain, unease, everything surged together, swelling into a suffocating tide inside his chest. His throat burned. His vision darkened at the edges. Through the haze, a powerful impulse took hold. Take off the suit. Just remove it. If he could strip away the barrier, he could breathe again. He could let the heat from the past drain out of him. He jerked his hands up toward his helmet, and was stopped instantly.
Let go of me. I need this off now.
Lynn did not answer. Instead, she seized his arms from behind, locking them in place. The force was absolute, unyielding, even without the cold weight of her bionic right arm. Her left flesh and bone alone was enough to immobilize a grown man. This was not strength one gained living in low gravity. Tao felt the unnatural solidity in her grip. As a Kindling vanguard, Lynn had begun injections of skeletal enhancers and high-density muscle growth compounds at the age of 15. The chemically driven strength allowed her to survive Mars's Red Inferno, but it had rewritten her biology entirely. Beneath the taut skin was no longer flexible muscle fiber, but something more like a compressed, lethal spring, coiled and ready to snap. That was the price of Kindling, a brutal contract that would never appear in any colonial brochure.
I order you to release me. Take it off. Take it off.
Tao's eyes were bloodshot as he struggled, trying to bend, to kick, to wrench free. It was useless. Under Lynn's overwhelming restraint, his strength drained away. His limbs went slack. Darkness closed in. Epilogue. Lynn slowly released her grip and adjusted her posture, lowering Tao's unconscious body so that his head rested on her thigh. Her palm passed briefly over his chest. Biometric readings remained within normal parameters, breathing steady. Pulse even. It was almost as if the violent struggle moments ago had been a hallucination, a nightmare already dissolving from memory. Around them, the interior of the tree was silent as ever, as though it had absorbed every sound. She did not stand at once. Instead, she lowered her head and listened to the nearly inaudible tones in her earpiece. Temperature, pressure, oxygen partial pressure. 3 curves rose and fell across the dim interface, maintaining a fragile, temporary equilibrium. She adjusted Tao's helmet, confirming the locks was secure, then moved his body gently against the wall. The motion was careful, like repositioning a device that must remain intact. Condensation still clung to the inside of his visor, fog framing the stillness of his eyelashes. She looked at him. For a brief moment, something in her gaze might almost have been called tenderness, not from pity, but from the knowledge that she was about to betray his trust. And above that betrayal lay something heavier still, something she alone had chosen to carry. The green indicator continued to pulse. Stable. Lynn reached for the airtight seal at the side of Tao's neck. Her fingers traced the metal groove, confirming the connection, then settled on the twin release toggles at either side of the helmet. Their red markings glowed sharply in the dim light. She paused. A short chime sounded in her earpiece. Oxygen levels dipped slightly. The temperature curve continued its slow ascent. Her eyes flicked once toward the half-exposed metallic interface beneath Tao's collarbone. She did not hesitate again. The toggles turned. The locks disengaged one by one, releasing low, precise mechanical clicks. The pressure seal shuddered. A narrow seam opened between helmet and collar ring, and a thread of warm, humid air slipped free, condensing instantly into pale vapor beneath the cold light. The biometric feed wavered for a heartbeat, then stabilized. At that exact moment, Lynn heard it. A deeper sound from within the tree, distant, subterranean, a resonance that did not belong to any visible mechanism. It was faint, but enough to freeze her fingers in place. She looked toward the far end of the corridor. It remained empty. Lights flickered. Organic patterns pulsed along the inner walls as if nothing at all had changed. But she knew. Something had awakened. She lifted her hand again and took hold of the helmet's outer rim. Click-hiss. The separation of metal and seal rang sharply in the narrow chamber, like a small gear removed from a running engine. As the helmet rose slowly, Tao's forehead, lashes, and nose emerged one by one. The moment the seal broke entirely, a damp strand of hair at his brow froze against his skin dark as ink caught mid-flow. The next second, warning lights ignited inside the suit. Red digits flashed against the interior of the visor. 059, 058, 057. Tao's life support system entered emergency countdown mode. A low-frequency alarm pulsed through the enclosed space. Lynn's face did not waver. The tree continued its low murmur. Bioluminescence continued its slow, rhythmic breathing. Prologue, END.